It's Monday, and you know what that means. Jersey First TV proudly brings to you the latest edition of Real Talk, and certainly I am New Jersey's premier 7-time award-winning journalist, top Latino, as voted on by the Latino Spirit online magazine, along with the United States Latino Affairs Initiative the last 3 consecutive years. And without a doubt, ladies and gentlemen, I'll continue to be the weapon of mass disruption in Garden State media, because my level of honesty now more than ever is truly necessary in this era of journalistic deception. That's right, folks. It's me, the most handsome face that runs the place. It's Fernando Uribe. Happy Monday to you all, folks. And we'll keep chugging along here in the month of July. Obviously, we avoided a big heat wave last week. Hopefully, we all got through it. Again, looked after our elderly neighbors, looked after our pets, make sure kids were not getting dehydrated or exposed to the heat. But again, some better temperatures and a little cooler this week here in the great state of New Jersey. I certainly want to thank you all for tuning in from wherever and however you may be doing so right now on Facebook Live, of course, via StreamYard, also on the Jersey First YouTube page, and of course on all of our social media platforms, whether it's X, LinkedIn, and much more. Folks, I can't say enough how much we truly appreciate your support here on Jersey First TV. Speaking of social media, again, folks, if you're not doing it already, what are you waiting for? Make sure you like us on Facebook, of course. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter as shown there. And of course, for all you YouTube subscribers, I'm sure you're watching YouTube for whatever reason. Whether you listen to great podcasts like this one, whether you're following politics, sports, pro wrestling, cooking, what are some of the best nightlife destinations during the summer months, whatever it is you're doing, folks, you're probably on YouTube. And despite all those annoying ads, because we won't upgrade to premium because it's too expensive, folks, make sure you subscribe, like, comment, and share, and make sure you are subscribed to Jersey First on YouTube. And of course, wherever you get your podcast, whether it's Spotify or SoundCloud, download Jersey First, take it with you throughout the summer months, whether you're driving back from Tiki Mondays down in Point Pleasant, whether you're maybe going shopping for clothes for your kids as they're moving back to campus in just a few weeks, at whatever college you're attending. Maybe you're buying brand new school clothes. Again, maybe you're middle school kids, graduating and going to high school, whatever it is you're doing, folks. You're out and about. You have your smartphone with you. Why not take Jersey First TV with you everywhere and anywhere that you go throughout the summer of 2024? Folks, I cannot say enough how privileged I am to be a member of the dream team of Garden State Media. That's right, folks. It's Jersey First TV. Hey, always educating and advocating for the residents of the great state of New Jersey. Folks, we're doing it every single week. Of course, brand new episodes of the Nader Narrative premiere every Thursday, courtesy of the amazing Elizabeth Nader. And brand new episodes of Bridging the Gap, hosted by AJ Malillo and Steven Rambola, also premiere every Thursday. And of course, brand new episodes of Real Talk with Fernando Uribe premiere every Monday night. Check your local listings for start times, and we appreciate you tuning in every single week. Folks, you don't want to miss out on final thoughts, because I'm going to have a lot to say about the establishment media. Obviously, some major developments over the weekend. But more so, folks, I'm going to ask you a simple question to sort of ponder throughout the program here, and I'll sort of answer it. And let's be very honest. Do you really want 4 years of this?
Poor hubby. Poor hubby.
Not.
Folks, do you really want 4 years of that? We'll talk more about it later in the show. Again, stick around for final thoughts. You're definitely going to enjoy yourselves. But first, folks, one of the reasons that, again, the show continues to do very well every single month organically, the traffic is amazing. Not like a lot of these Mickey Mouse journalists, right, and the Mickey Mouse media here in the Garden State. Folks, that's never the case here. There's real traffic on this show. The only traffic they know is really the traffic they see on Kennedy Boulevard, Route 3, or even the Parkway during the summer months, but never on this show, folks. We continue to bring it every single week because I always want the smoke every week here on Jersey First TV. And of course, the other half really is the outstanding guests I continue to bring you and the exclusives that nobody else brings you in Garden State Media. And this week is no exception, folks. He is the distinguished executive director of the New Jersey Pride Chamber of Commerce, a fellow football fan. I mean, football as in the global game, folks. That's what football is, right? And you know what? A big fan of this show, folks. He's my good friend, Gus Penaranda, join us here live on Real Talk. Gus, how are you?
I'm doing well, Fernando. Thank you again. Always a pleasure continuing the conversation with you.
Appreciate it, brother. And folks, again, if you have not checked it out, go to njpridechamber.org, right? Or is it njpridechamberofcommerce.org?
New Jersey Pride Chamber.org. That's correct.
Appreciate it. Got on the first try. Okay, folks, again, check it out, njpridechamber.org, for all the great resources available to LGBTQ-owned businesses and really for the entire business community, folks, in the state of New Jersey. Definitely a great organization to participate with and enroll with, again, if you're indeed an LGBTQ-owned business here in the Garden State. Gus, before we get into sort of, again, and I've had you on earlier this year, obviously, and I know my fans of the show follow your page and certainly keep up to date with what the great work you're doing. I just want to sort of bring to your attention, obviously, I know over maybe a couple months ago, I had the privilege of attending a great mixer at the Hyatt Hotel rooftop in downtown Jersey. And folks, if you haven't checked out the Hyatt, I mean, it's a great rooftop bar and venue, but their catering hall is absolutely amazing. And I was privileged enough to get an invite by the executive director here tonight, my guest, to this great mixer. For anyone that didn't attend, Gus, just a brief synopsis about why that was so successful.
So basically, it's an annual event. It's called the Pride Month Kickoff, and it's not about the parades. And that's what, I told my board when we first started it 3 years ago. It's about the business component to the Pride events across the tri-state area in New York, New Jersey, and in Philadelphia to the south. Every year, more and more local, small to mid-sized businesses are participating in the Pride parades or the Pride fests or the Pride celebrations. And they're beginning to see the positive side of working with the LGBTQ plus community. Again, the way the New Jersey Pride Chamber works is that we do not pick any side. We are focused on business, and that's why the Pride celebrations are open to everyone. And that's why they've been actually getting bigger and bigger every year, because we talk about business. And it just happened that the Hyatt House has an amazing view of Lower Manhattan on the terrace floor, and then they have the rooftop. So it was a great event. I'm glad you enjoyed yourself. There over 200 people in attendance, and we landed on one of the nights where the sun goes down the avenues in New York City. So the sun turned Lower Manhattan into a city of gold, pretty much. It was very, very nice. And yes, they were amazing, the service. And even if you just want to go for a weekend, I do recommend the Hyatt House.
Oh, it definitely. And listen, it's a great venue. Parking's not exactly the best around there, like anywhere in downtown Jersey City, but I find parking everywhere. I sort of have like that magic skill. But it was indeed a great event, Gus, because I think you saw a lot of people, not just from the business community, LGBT community, but you also saw like the officials attend. I think you saw a lot of camaraderie because at the end of the day, it's about the business climate. And we'll get to that and how it sort of, what needs to improve in New Jersey, in my opinion. And of course, I'm sure you have your opinion as well. But I think at the end of the day, it's really about assessing what's best for our business climate in New Jersey, whether it's LGBTQ businesses, Hispanics, Blacks, Asians, whoever, Indians, Americans, it doesn't matter. The business community continues to thrive in New Jersey. Entrepreneurship is really at an all-time high in every community. And I think that when you have organizations, again, shout out to obviously as they say, a partner in your pursuit, right, is the statewide Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I know, shout out to Carlos Medina and Luis de la Hoz that are very supportive of all businesses, obviously Hispanic-owned businesses, clearly with the statewide Hispanic Chamber. But again, they're a great resource, and they've also been very supportive. I know of you and other chambers of commerce that understand that, hey, owning a business isn't easy. It's not 9 to 5. It's not like your traditional type of, okay, you sit behind a desk. I mean, you are hustling and working at all hours. And if you want to be an entrepreneur, yeah, it's sexy. It's great. It gets views on Instagram, right? On Instagram stories. But at the end of the day, you have to put the work in. And I think that this is a time really, Gus, that entrepreneurs in every community are seeing New Jersey really, I think, as sort of like the Emerald City of where to set up shop.
Well, for the next 2 years, everyone is looking at New Jersey and the New York City Hudson River side because of the World Cup. But yes, Carlos Medina, the CEO of the Hispanic Chamber, and I have been friends for almost 30 years. And Luis and I have been friends for several years since he became the chairman for the board of the Hispanic Chamber. And we have been trying to find a way to work together because we support each other. And when I became executive director, the first message came from Carlos Medina: whatever you need, we're there. And we created this kickoff to the World Cup, celebrating our diversity event at American Dream this past June 13th. And we've booked it right up until June 2026. Literally an idea that we discussed over lunch in January. And then June 13th, it became a reality. And the host committee, people that work for FIFA, businesses, all noticed that, wow, because if you've never been to a World Cup or you don't follow the sport, you cannot compare it to the Super Bowl. I also play American football. I love American football. The Super Bowl is a week. It's one day with a big game, but a week leading up to it. The World Cup is a month, but it's not one city versus another city. It's literally 100 plus countries competing, in qualifying games, then to be able to even compete for the round robin in the World Cup. So, it involves literally the bulk of the planet. And when you host a World Cup, a huge percentage of all of those fans, 3 billion, will be watching. So you can imagine how many are coming to the shores of New York and New Jersey and Philadelphia. I mean, that's revenue. People have to find a place to stay, what to drive, what airport to fly into, where to eat, where to have adult beverages, souvenirs, hiking, the beaches, casinos, Broadway plays, whatever is in the area. There's going to be a market for it for those 30 days. And it's expected to be between $2 to $3 billion in gross revenue. So, it is an opportunity for small to mid-sized businesses. My focus is concentrating on the Fan Fest because that is where small to mid-sized businesses are going to get the best opportunity to share in all this revenue. I know people talk about the stadiums and, let's go there and let's get contracts there. I live I'm very blunt, and some people, find it offensive, but I'm very blunt and direct. Small to mid-sized businesses are not going to be able to win any large contracts at the stadiums because those are going to go to the multi-million-dollar corporations and they have to bid amongst themselves. Sure. And it's going to be difficult. However, the Fan Fest, of which I've been to the World Cup in Germany, the Fan Fest, where you have hundreds upon hundreds of vendors, sometimes for over 2 miles, like it was in Germany, selling every day for 30 days, that's where small to mid-sized businesses can make some record profits in 2026.
Absolutely. And folks, if you're just joining us right now, it's 6:41 here on the East Coast. My guest live right now is the Distinguished Executive Director of the New Jersey Pride Chamber of Commerce, Gus Penaranda, joining us here live on Real Talk. Again, folks, for more information, check out www.njpridechamber.org for more information about the New Jersey Pride Chamber of Commerce. Well, you know what, Gus, you mentioned football, right? The global game. Let's talk about football. I'm a football fan. Okay. And by the way, I want to brag a little bit about my Real Madrid, the champions. I mean, they're running out of space in that trophy room. You know what I'm saying? About because Real Madrid is that club on the planet. Okay. It's as simple as that. I tell people all the time, it's not bragging if it's true, right, Gus?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they do. They're, yeah, you're right. I'm not going to even discuss it. Yeah.
Real, hey, listen, it's one of those things. Champions League, you put on the laundry, and for whatever reason, they produce, right? Every May and June, right? They can be down 1-0 in the 89th minute. They tie the game. Yeah, it's unbelievable. You put on the laundry, it just changes the player completely. But, you mentioned the World Cup, and obviously I'm a big fan. Certainly we saw what happened in Miami during the final of the Copa American. I have some bones to pick about that in a moment. But back to your point about the World Cup coming up in 2 years. Listen, I was very privileged to attend that kickoff at the American Dream Mall. There was a lot of enthusiasm there, certainly. Obviously, the United States, Mexico, and Canada will be hosting the World Cup in 2 years. Thankfully, because the way the U.S. team looks, I mean, if it wasn't for hosting, they wouldn't qualify. That's how bad they are lately. But I could say that because, I follow U.S. football all the time. But anyway, the point is that, there's a lot of enthusiasm, and you're right. I think businesses are looking at this as a rich opportunity. Not just the big corporations, as you mentioned, but obviously the small to mid-sized businesses that see. Obviously, we have MetLife Stadium here. They're going to be part of the group play. Obviously, now it's a bigger World Cup. Instead of 32 countries, it's 48.
48.
I'm almost like the NCAA. Let's in 2030, let's get to 64. You know what I'm saying? Let's have a 2-month World Cup. I don't care. More countries, the better. But in all seriousness, though, I mean, we're seeing obviously a bigger pool of countries. We're seeing obviously group play in different cities throughout the United States, Mexico and Canada, respectively. The final will be played here, nearby in MetLife. I disagree as a Cowboys fan. I think Cowboys Stadium is the best stadium in North America. But what do I know? But anyway, the point is that we're seeing a great opportunity in New York and New Jersey, Gus, for businesses to thrive, nightlife, hospitality, merchandising, you name it, food, beverage. I mean, there's a real chance here to get
there is.
Yeah.
There's a great chance. And the thing is, though, and I tell every time I speak to businesses, do not wait until 2026. The World Cup is actually less than 2 years. It was the 2-year mark on June 13th at our event. So now we're less than 2 years away. However, hotels will allow you to book your rooms a year in advance. So in June 2025, that's next year, people are going to start beginning to reserve their rooms. So basically, and I guarantee you, prices are going to go up and rooms are going to be sold out, which means Airbnbs. The Airbnb market is going to be out of this world, because I have friends that I play soccer with in the city who went to Qatar for the last World Cup, and they were paying $5,000 to $6,000 a week for an Airbnb in order to go see a match. So, you know, that's just part of it. But I do agree that, the congestion is going to make it rough.
Just real quick, I'm sorry, I'll let you finish. But to your point about Airbnb, I think there might be a problem, though, too. Again, and to your point about reserving hotels a year in advance, obviously, we're not going to know what the groups are yet we probably won't know until December 2025. So it kind of like, hey, you're just going to book a hotel and gamble that, hey, the countries that are there in that specific city correspond to, let's say, your fandom, right? But the Airbnb point I want to make is that I think local municipalities have also made it more difficult. Jersey City, Union City, where I live, West New York. I mean, a lot of towns in Hudson County near MetLife have banned Airbnb. So I think it's going to kind of put a bigger squeeze in Bergen County for a lot of these homes and I guess apartments where, I mean, there's a possibility of some abuse there as well. But let me finish your point, though.
Well, I agree with you. I mean, the same thing is happening up in the Poconos because the casinos are, losing out because Airbnb is around the Mohegan Sun, I believe. There's city councilors but the thing is, though, how are you going to enforce any type of moratorium on Airbnbs in Hudson County during that month? It is, you would need a literal 30,000 people to be checking, neighborhoods. But again, that's an issue that they have to deal with. But my point was, if hotels are taking reservations a year in advance, that's June, and you want to, and then they have not mapped out Liberty State Park. That is where the primary fan fest is going to be for the World Cup on the New Jersey side. They haven't mapped it out. And I can tell everyone, here on the podcast that it is the host committee that will be in charge of, giving out the permits to the vendors for the fan fest. That is not done yet. However, you want to get yourself certified as an SBE with the state, minority, veteran-owned business, LGBTQ, whatever you represent, you want to get yourself certified, because that may be able to help you. Because I guarantee you, with all of the push that we are telling the almost 1 million businesses in the state of New Jersey, when that vendor opportunity comes out for Liberty State Park, where you're guaranteed people are just going to be coming in from New York, driving in or taking the trains from Southern New Jersey, Philadelphia, and anywhere else on the Amtrak line, you want to be there. And then just for those of you that live in New York, the Fan Fest is going to be at Prospect Park in Brooklyn. Same scenario. They're going to map it out, and then the host committee will be in charge of releasing the slots. Now, I do not know the details if there's going to be a fee, but I always tell everybody, better safe than sorry. Set some funds aside, get yourself certified, get your ducks in a row. And plan out how you would do a mobile version of your business to be out there for 30 days. But that's, these are things that need to happen now, not later. And then some businesses right now, especially during the Copa America with Colombia and Argentina, are already making adjustments, like Barcode and Elizabeth, or, where they were streaming the matches, and you had, hundreds and hundreds of people there, eating food, supporting their team. You had street fairs going on in different parts of Elizabeth. And so that is what is already happening now. And next year is FIFA Club, so you'll get to see it again. And then you have the World Cup in 2026. So you need to start planning now. And it doesn't take a lot. Even if you're far away from Jersey City, you could still, if you don't have a TV, get a TV streaming service. Have, when the matches are released, you're right. You don't know who's going to play where. No one knows. And, if you want tickets, you're going to have to register at FIFA.com. Just register. Don't ask anyone. Just register. It's a lottery system.
Yeah.
And then, if you're lucky, you get tickets. But the thing is, though, on the business side of this is you do not want to wait. If you wait till November, December 2025 to get your ducks in a row, you're out of it. You're out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Gus, you hit the nail on the head there. I think business have to be proactive here because like anything else, just like, again, a great comparison there about the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is 1 week, right? It's Super Bowl week in whatever city and all that. But, preparations are a year in advance, if not 2 years in advance. And I think that you have to be proactive if you're, again, a small to mid-sized business, as you alluded to before, because, again, we have MetLife here. They're going to have a group stage, obviously, in the opening round. Obviously, the final will be here at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. Maybe during the knockout quarterfinal. Who knows? Maybe there's another game here. Who knows? But the bottom line is that I think that there has to be some cohesion. I think, and to your point about, the planning committee, making sure that things sort of go as smoothly as possible. To your point about not going as smoothly as possible, obviously, and this is something personal to me, obviously, I knew people going to Miami at the Hard Rock Stadium for the Copa America final, obviously Colombia and Argentina. Certainly, what a disaster that was. We saw it on social media unwinding where the kickoff was supposed to be at 8 o'clock, and it really didn't start until about 9:30. I had my family over. We ordered food while we're in our Colombia jerseys. We're all waiting, and then all of a sudden, it's like, well, look at this tsunami of people. I mean, look at people getting trampled, people going through the air ducts. I'm like, wait a second, what is it, like the Millennium Falcon here in Star Wars? Like, what are you trying to smuggle people through like these chambers? It was weird, but I think it was also an indictment. Obviously, CONMEBOL as an organizing body, but I think it was more of an indictment of Hard Rock Stadium. Again, I'm always a big supporter of law enforcement, but either the Miami Police Department and Hard Rock didn't coordinate well enough, obviously, because we saw people paying thousands of dollars in tickets and not able to get inside. I mean, there were people literally trampling over security, and we saw testimonials on social media where, hey, I got to my seat, there's someone sitting there, and security's like, oh, well, okay, vamos a hacer. And I'm like, if I paid $2,000, guys, like, I can only imagine the scrutiny around the city of Miami, Hard Rock Stadium, and whatever planning committee was involved with CONMEBOL, the governing body, obviously, within South American football. Obviously, I think, FIFA doesn't want that black eye for the World Cup in 2 years. What were your thoughts when you saw some of these stories on Instagram and these videos surfacing?
Well, not just on Instagram, it was live.
The
commentators were actually talking about the situation on live television. So first, to make it clear, Copa America is not FIFA. Okay, not FIFA. Two different organizations, and FIFA runs a different type of show. But yes, they're using the same stadiums. So I went to the 2 Argentina games in MetLife, 80,000 on the one night, 81 plus on the second. So MetLife does things differently because they've done this before. Doesn't matter if it's World Cup soccer, Taylor Swift, or Bon Jovi. They've done this before, and they set a gated perimeter before you get to the gate where you have to scan your ticket. They've been doing it, and there's 4 gates or how many gates there are at MetLife, and that's what they do. It was clear they did not do that at Hard Rock. The people were allowed to literally walk up to the ticketing gate directly, and that's what caused the problem because everybody was trying to get in and converge. And yes, I saw the videos of people pushing, trying to make sure parents trying to protect their children, and they're going to have to take another look on how they're going to create a perimeter before people that have tickets can get in and scan. However, we haven't heard much about this because the news is everywhere right in the last week. Wait for the lawsuits. The lawsuits are going to come. The
Oh,
lawsuits
absolutely.
against Hard Rock, because that's what's going to happen, and I'm pretty sure, based on some communications, that all the host committees have already been on some Zoom calls talking about this cannot happen ever again, because there's other issues too. Like MetLife is not 100% perfect. Getting into the stadium and getting out of the physical stadium into the parking lots, for the most part, for both Argentina games was easy. People were having fun. It was great. However, exiting the facility, trains, the walk bridge over to American Dream, all of these things I have reported back to the host committee because there were some issues. And not just myself, I had guests there. So,
Sure.
there are things that we need to improve on. But, I'm very happy that, MetLife is run totally different than Hard Rock Stadium,
Yes.
because, that's 66,000. We were over 80,000. And remember, in the parking lots, there are hundreds, in some cases, thousands of people that don't have tickets. They just want to hear the game outside of the walls of the stadium. So, these are things that have to be worked out. They will get worked out. The only difference is, when you have three countries, Mexico, Canada, and the United States, 16 cities, 11 of them in the US, I believe,
Yes.
each state has a different way of doing things.
Yeah.
Each
Yeah.
stadium has a different way of doing things. So there is no one way that FIFA can say, do it like this. So they are working with each city to make sure that what they saw on live TV and on social media in Miami won't happen anywhere else. But there's more than that has to be addressed. And I'm pretty sure that FIFA, because they weren't Copa America, but I'm pretty sure that FIFA will make sure that steps are taken to prevent such an issue.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Gus, by the way, here's a little bit of the cynic in me. You're right. It's CONMEBOL as an organizing body. But as they say, the leading cartel in the world, FIFA gets a little cheese as well there. Let's not kid ourselves at home. Let's not kid ourselves at home, ladies and gentlemen. The FIFA still gets a little paper, as they say, being that is the governing body of football. But Gus, you brought up an interesting point. I go to MetLife regularly. I'm a big Cowboys fan. I go to the Cowboy Giant game, which is basically a home game for the Dallas Cowboys here against the Giants. But
Right.
I go to MetLife regularly. And to your point about getting out of the stadium, going over, obviously the tunnel to American Dream, the New Jersey Transit stop. And listen, we talked about this off the air. I'll bring it up now. I'm also a big pro wrestling fan. For anybody that doesn't know that, again, if you look at my social media, I think it's hard to not know that. But, WrestleMania, back in WrestleMania 35 was here in MetLife in 2019. It was the last one-day WrestleMania. Obviously, I got there early with my boys, tailgating from 2 p.m. We walked into the gates around 4-ish. We were there until about 12:30 in the morning. And even back then, I saw the disarray with New Jersey Transit, where, again, and folks, you can Google it. I'm not, trying to be anti-Phil Murphy here, but, again, it was like a lot of the indictment about New Jersey Transit and the state was, hey, there were people at 12:30 in the morning, already Monday morning, waiting at the New Jersey Transit train stop, and the trains weren't running anymore. And there was a poor communication between New Jersey Transit, between the stadium, maybe WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment, who knows? There's a lot of people to blame possibly. But the bottom line is, like, horror stories like that, getting out of MetLife, drive, because I drive everywhere. I don't really like mass transit per se. I like to drive everywhere, especially with a bunch of guys. We go tailgating. I just like to go in and out. I still saw those problems, and that was like 5 years ago. And we don't see that as much during the NFL season, somewhat. And I go to games every year. Concerts, not so much lately, but I have. There's still a big problem with New Jersey Transit. And I'm hoping that, again, in bravo to you, bringing these concerns to the host committee about you attending, again, the eye test is important about what could be done better, whether it's getting in and out of MetLife Stadium. Your point, every state's different. But, what other concerns did you see attending during the Copa America that maybe, the host committee really needs to focus on?
So again, like I said, the getting into the game, getting to your seats, getting out of the game, they've pretty much done this before. The only issues that I saw that I reported back, which you just mentioned, with New Jersey Transit, you cannot build a new rail system. However, you're just going to have to tweak the schedule. If you can expand a car or two and then make them more, not more frequent, because you have, you have two lines going in and out. Signage was something that I had mentioned to make sure that when you're hosting the world, there's signage. Maybe bring in more staff who also can speak different languages. Little things like that. Now, what I told them about my experience at MetLife, nowhere, it's not even near what happened in Hard Rock, but with the tunnel as well. The tunnel is something that I did also mention, because of the fact that most people, didn't know that they could park at American Dream, and that's where they parked, and they walked over the bridge, which is great. But when you have thousands of people walking over that pedestrian bridge at once, and let's say security stops it at one end, if there's no communication on the other end where people are coming in, that could be a problem. And that's what I reported to the World Cup. Whatever you do at the exit side of that pedestrian tunnel, you have to make sure they're communicating to the tail end, so people aren't, crammed in. And I guess they did it to let traffic run out of the parking garages so people can flow into the parking decks. But those are things that there's plenty of time to fix. What happened in Hard Rock, completely different. I mean, when you have estimated as 10,000 people that didn't have any tickets actually got into the game, the players' families couldn't even get to their seats. Crazy. I mean, that's a complete breakdown. I wasn't there. I saw it like most people did. But again, like I said a few minutes ago, when the lawsuits come in, that's when the details are going to come out. There's plenty of video footage, but I'm almost 100% sure that will not happen at MetLife. It just, they're too well trained in doing this every year for everything else. With an 86,000 plus seat stadium, that once they tweak the transit exit and then that tunnel, because parking is parking, you're always going to have to wait your turn to get out. I think they pretty much have it, will have good control of the flow, because also, I didn't mention this, they're bringing in buses as well for the World Cup.
Absolutely. I did not know that. Again, folks, what a wealth of information. My guest here tonight, the Executive Director of the New Jersey Pride Chamber of Commerce, Gus Penaranda, here live on Real Talk. Gus, let's get back to the Pride Chamber for a moment, because we could talk football all day, right? Like I completely forgot about the FIFA Club World Cup next summer, which, by the way, Real Madrid is going to win that too. So I mean, let's just give them the title already. Yeah, that's something. Yeah, olvídate. So yeah, lo ganaron. But no, in all seriousness, back to the chamber though. We look at the business climate in New Jersey, Gus, and I'm someone that, unlike my colleagues in the establishment media in New Jersey, I've been one of those that have gone after the emperor quite ruthlessly for years now. Coming out of COVID, I still feel there are elements of the business community in New Jersey that is still lacking. It's tough to live here. It's tough. We have the highest property taxes in the country. Rents are at an all-time high. Fuel prices, obviously the gas tax just got increased again. I mean, it's becoming much more difficult for people, whether Hispanics, LGBTQ, Asians, Indian Americans, African Americans, to set up shop here. What can you tell us about the business climate right now in New Jersey? Is it improving? Is it status quo? Is it maybe regressing? What can you tell us tonight?
So, I mean, right now, the easiest way to describe it, it's kind of a wave. When we jumped up, I think we were, 40 something. And then we moved up to 19th, 19th state as far as better for or improving for businesses to open shop there. And then now we've dropped back to 24 or 25. One of the things is, and you mentioned it, is this is not an easy state to open up a business, small, mid-sized entrepreneur. However, you cannot find a better market. You have 6 million in Philadelphia, 9 million in the state of New Jersey, and 10, 11 million in New York City alone. Forget about the 5 boroughs. You have an incredible market for which you can sell your product, service, whatever it is that you have, which you can drive within a couple of hours. So the market is what attracts businesses here. However, going through the certifying your business, the financials, the taxes, that does provide roadblocks for a lot of businesses. That's why a lot of people learned during COVID, hey, I don't need a storefront. I'm doing this from home. But then again, that takes away from, expansion. You're limited to how many employees you can hire. So it's a give and take. But is New Jersey the best? No. Is New Jersey better? Yes. But it has a long way to go before it becomes a top state to open up a business, transfer a business, move a business. However, it is the only state in the United States of America that now legally recognizes LGBTQ plus owned businesses. And I say that because we're the Pride Chamber. We represent the LGBTQ plus business community, but that means that the $1.7 trillion that is estimated to be contributed by the LGBTQ plus community to the annual U.S. budget is now has a place to go. Like there's, we don't care, we don't deal with the social issues. We don't care with, what happens on the day-to-day in the newspapers, because there are organizations that deal with that. I get a lot of heat for saying that, but the thing is, though, I know what my responsibilities are as a chamber of commerce. We are a business entity, and I must do everything possible to protect the businesses, the LGBTQ plus owned businesses, the allied businesses, and any business that wants to, use our resources and work with us. So that's what we focus on. So as much as I have my own opinions on things, I have to stay focused. The board has to stay focused. And that's what we do. So we work with everyone, because when you're talking about, businesses and then social issues, I'm sorry, when I go into a store and I need, battery for my car, or I need, a mechanic to do something, I do not ask them, oh, by the way, before you change the oil in my car, who do you vote for? Or who do you sleep with? I don't. Why would you ask that? If I go to a hospital because I need a checkup, or a dentist, oh, by the way, before you fix my cavity, who did you vote for in the last election? That's not what you do. You go in there, you need a service, you need a product, you need something. There's a transaction, and you move on your way. The business makes some money, you get what you needed, and you're on to the next, transaction for the day, whatever it is that you do. That's business. And New Jersey is improving. And we are making sure that we try to get the resources out there, because New Jersey does have resources. Unfortunately, they don't communicate those resources out to everyone, especially small businesses, because they're giving money into grants and programs. But if you don't know about it, what's the point?
Yeah. Well, Gus, it's interesting you bring that up, because, again, it is transactional. And I can only imagine the grief you must get, because I think, listen, within any chamber of commerce altogether, right? Like, shout out to Carlos and Luis. They do a great job with the Statewide Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I've talked to Carlos and Luis off the air, off the record. I mean, we don't agree on everything politically, and that's fine. We're still civil, in this time of like tribalism that's really on steroids, Gus, right? It's interesting that, we're able to have these conversations. But listen, I think it happens in every community, right? I mean, whether it's Hispanic business owners, Asian, LGBTQ, it almost seems like there's this insistence that's like, well, there needs to be a conflating of social. And no, it's business is business, right? It's transactional, right? Like, keep it to business. And if you're choosing not to, again, I'll give you an example. If there are businesses out there that, whether it was four summers ago or now, that might have certain signage outside of the establishment. And I remember that, for example, whether it be grocery stores, certain, not real estate per se, or like life insurance or car insurance, but businesses, right? I would see people that would have, let's say, Black Lives Matter signs out there. And I know people personally be like, you know what? Nah, I'm not going to bother going to the store, because it's just, I don't care about what's going on. I don't care what's happening. And there's a political attachment to it. I think the same can be said about any social cause, but I think you said it perfectly. It's about keeping it transactional. Hey, you have to go buy a battery. You're going to Jiffy Lube. You get your oil change. Maybe you're checking your fluids in your vehicle. Maybe you're going to get eyeglasses at Lens Crafters. Maybe you're going to Express. At the end of the day, it's like, listen, I want to buy my clothes, buy my battery, buy my goods and services without interjecting politics. But I mean, let's be honest, man, we're living in a time where, if you want to insert politics into anything, that just becomes inevitable.
Well, politics isn't everything. That's the one thing that they teach you in Political Science 101. Yeah. However, how you choose to participate in that discussion for something that's not directly political, meaning, that you're not in politics like an elected official or whatever, you're just an owner of a restaurant, that's a different story. And, when I say that, we try to keep it transactional, if I go to a store and I see something, a sign or whatever, and I don't like it or it makes me feel uncomfortable for whatever reason, you want to know what the wonderful thing about New Jersey is? I can go down the street and there's another coffee shop, there's another restaurant, there's another store, there's another pharmacy. That's the beauty of having such a market like New York, New Jersey, and Philadelphia. But again, I do get I do get a lot of negative comments from my community for what I believe in. But the thing is, though, it's like, just stop and think. When you get your cup of coffee, what do you ask? Or what do they ask you? When you go get your groceries and you self-scan, does the machine say, are you red or blue or green? I mean, it's common sense. And in order to make sure that I get the best resources and opportunities for the members of the Pride Chamber, same thing that Carlos does and Indy does for the Punjabi Chamber and all the other chambers, is we have to make sure we stick to the battle that we know we can win, because it's business, and everything else, as important and as in some cases painful and difficult as it is to hear and to deal with and to see, we have to do what's in front of us, what we've been tasked to do, and that is support businesses. And at the end of the day, I mean, you can build a relationship with a vendor, with a retailer, and not even ask the questions that everyone's talking about right now in the political spectrum. And then 3 or 4 years down the road, if you go to the same coffee shop, someone who has, a Republican sign or a Democrat, whatever, and it's different than you are, but the person knows you, hey, here's your macchiato or whatever, or here's your tea with lemon. Hey, how are the kids or whatever? Guess what? You have built not just a transactional financial relationship with that person, but now you're building a bigger relationship with that person because you want that customer to come back and feel welcome. And we did not discuss or debate or argue anything about what's going on to the left or to the right. It was all because I went in to get a cup of coffee and the person was polite. I was polite back. And then you build a relationship like that. It's transactional. It is how, the world, turns. Everything that we do every single day. And that's what I focus on. And I try to tell, my other fellow affiliate chambers, it's like, I know it's difficult, but if you focus on what we have to do at the task at hand, you will grow your membership, you will grow your influence, and then you will be able to give true resources and benefits to the LGBTQ plus businesses in your areas.
Speaking about exerting influence and really trying to mobilize people, though, Gus, what would you say for the remainder of 2024 and going into 2025? What are some exciting events and big things, hopefully, that are coming from the New Jersey Pride Chamber of Commerce that maybe we're not aware of? Again, folks, go to NewJerseyPrideChamber.org. I'm sorry, NJPrideChamber.org, right?
Correct.
Damn, I always mess it up. Sorry. Folks, check out NJPrideChamber.org. Obviously, all the resources there, news up to date. Of course, make sure you like them on Facebook. Follow them on Instagram and Twitter when you can. Obviously, get involved with LinkedIn as well. What can we look forward to for the rest of the summer and fall and going into 2025 with the Chamber, guys?
Right. So July and August, because June is Pride Month, so it's crazy 30 days. But July and August is rest time for most people in the state, Jersey Shore, and it's also planning. So what we're doing is September 30th, we're having our annual supplier diversity summit, and last year it was at Bristol Myers Squibb. The video's on our website. It was a huge success, over almost 300 people there. This year it's going to be at Johnson & Johnson in Raritan. Johnson & Johnson is one of the big employers and pharmaceutical companies that call New Jersey home, and that's September 30th. And you're going to hear on how to do business with Johnson & Johnson. You're going to have matchmaking opportunities with some of the other corporations that are joining in, and then first come, first serve. I think it's the first 50 that sign up that go on September 30th. We'll then have a private workshop the next day on how to do business directly with Johnson & Johnson by Johnson & Johnson. So they're going to bring 50 vendors back the next day, and they're going to tell you, this is how you do business with us. This is what we're looking for. Here are the details. So that's the next thing that's coming up, followed by our annual LGBT.
Yes, I'm sorry. What time on the 30th?
It starts at 10 a.m., but we're telling everybody to get there at 9:30, but 10 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Okay, cool. I want to make sure everyone gets home in time to catch Real
Yes.
Talk on Monday night. Okay, I just want to make sure of that. But no, folks, that's a great event. So, and what else do we have coming up?
So, the league, I see you all the time at the League of Municipalities. So, this is our third annual LGBTQ plus summit at the league. It'll be Tuesday, November 19th from 10 a.m. to 2 at the Ocean Casino Resort. I am in conversations that we're going to have the host committee give the keynote, and maybe a couple of surprises from the World Cup host committee. But also, this year will be the first year that we're going to host a pitch competition. For some finalists that we will have the information out on our website probably in the next 3 weeks. And that's basically, we're a business entity. So now we have resources through Bristol Myers Squibb and William Patterson University and some other organizations throughout the state that we're going to have our first pitch competition, give out, a financial award, a business, business scholarship to Drexel and other things. So that's coming up. And then, of course, our final event for the year is our gala. We are going to be honoring all the elected officials that supported, pushed, and fought for the law that made New Jersey the first state in the country to recognize LGBTQ plus owned businesses. Senator Poe, Benji Wimberly, Senator Teresa Ruiz, Don Guardian, the list, of the top 7 sponsors will be there, and it'll be at the Hyatt House again. And I'm sure I'll have a seat for you, Fernando, so you can see that, yes, we are the LGBTQ plus Chamber of Commerce, but we work for all small businesses. That's why Carlos, myself, and all the other chambers came together, and we're part of the New Jersey Diverse Business Advisory Council, which is all the diverse chambers with the state chamber, supporting our endeavors. So, and of course, next June, the countdown to the World Cup second year party, which is going to be bigger. We're going to be at American Dream, June 13th, but the details will come out probably sometime in January.
Gus, you mentioned the gala at the end of this year. Any dates confirmed for that yet?
The gala is going to be December 11th. The league is November 19th. And as I mentioned, the supplier diversity for J&J is September 30th.
Is the gala black tie or?
It's black tie optional. It's the holiday season, Christmas season. So most people like to dress up to go out. The Hyatt House will be in full, holiday swagger. So I'm going to dress out because I'm going to be emceeing it. But yeah, it's a fun time. It's a sit down dinner, but we make it fun, with music. I like quick awards and more dancing and networking.
Well, listen, I don't ever need an excuse to go black tie somewhere. So I'm looking forward to that invite. I appreciate that. Gus, listen, I got to tell you, man, I really appreciate your time on this program. I know it isn't easy being probably the loudest conservative in New Jersey media. I'm sure you get some grief. And, I appreciate you being a stand-up guy. I'm sure it isn't easy. I'm sure you get a lot of like, oh, yeah, it's a Fernando Uribe, blah, 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 whatever. I'm sure you hear it. And I appreciate the rapport we have, man, because I think it's important to have these conversations. It's important not just to be able to talk business, but I think about really what every community goes through in the sense of entrepreneurship, the business climate, and whether it's about sports, football, what club teams we like, whatever the case may be, what sides of the fence we are on politically, because I'm sure maybe we want to agree on everything. But the bottom line is I always appreciate you being a gentleman, taking the grenades, coming on this show. But I appreciate it, man. You're a wealth of information. And I can't say enough, really. Folks, again, check it out, njpridechamber.org. Gus, I'll give you the last word here tonight on Real Talk.
Listen, it's all about the conversation. I enjoy the back and forth. And again, we don't agree on everything all the time, but we just found out that we both like, football, FUTBOL. So that's something that we agree on. And I wish other parts of this country would, have, the conversations because, that's all. I mean, we have to live side by side in this country, believe it or not. And it is the greatest country on the planet. And I've traveled the planet. So, I like what we do because we serve as an example that you can have a decent adult conversation, maybe even have some fun sometimes and get information out, agree to disagree, and then do it again on another topic. So, thank you so much for the invitations. Yes, I am going to get a lot of grief. I always do, but I stand my ground because you know what? I was born Hispanic, discriminated against when I was a little kid. As an adult, I came out as gay, hated because I'm gay. But you know what? That just gave me a different shield. And bring it, because I will always have conversations with anyone, even those that disagree with me, because what's the point then if you can't talk to someone about, how you feel or what you support or who you love?
Well said. Real quick, you're Peruvian, right?
I am Peruvian, yes.
So I gotta say, man, listen, being Colombian, loved our turnout at the Copa America. I think the roster's looking really good. World Cup qualifiers resume this fall. What's going on with Peru, man? They're not doing too well in the qualifiers. They didn't do too well in Copa America. Are you concerned as a native Peruvian, brother?
It was, a couple of years ago, I forgot his name, just escapes me, but we had a superstar, and something happened where the whole team was focused on the one player. It's kind of like what Messi didn't want to happen with him when he plays for Argentina. It can't be all about me. It has to be a team effort. Or if the player comes out, the team, doesn't know how to react. So I think Peru, it's gonna need probably another round before it comes back stronger. But they have improved significantly in the last 5 to 7 years. Improved significantly.
No, listen, I think you're right. I think it might take another cycle where maybe they don't qualify for 26. Maybe they have to wait until 30, because that happens sometimes, right? I mean, there's turnover. There are players that age out. It happens in every country. I mean, not Argentina. It seems like it's an assembly line of players. Even, Messi has like a fractured ankle, and there's like 6, 7 guys on that roster that just, it's weird. It's an assembly line. Colombia had a good showing during the Copa America. They're right now sitting pretty well in the, obviously in the standings for the qualifier. Right. I know with obviously now 48 teams qualifying for the World Cup. I know the South American pool goes from, I believe, it used to be 4 plus the, El Suplementario to now 5 teams qualifying, and the 6th team is El Suplementario. So, I mean, again, there's plenty of times left. Peru's not doing too well, but do you think they'll be able to maybe sneak in there?
Fingers crossed. I will always wear, like when I went to the Argentina games, I was wearing my Peru shirt. So, and everybody's like, hey, what's going on? I'm proud, but, I'm hopeful. But again, they have improved. You cannot deny it. You've seen the last few years in their competitions. It's going to be a rough one, but maybe they don't qualify, but they come back strong in 2030.
Let's hope so. Folks, he is Gus Penaranda, the distinguished executive director of the New Jersey Pride Chamber of Commerce. For more information, whether it's events, resources, or you're looking to get involved with LGBTQ plus businesses in the Garden State, once again, go to their website, njpridechamber.org. Don't forget to like them on Facebook. Of course, follow them on Instagram and Twitter. Check them out on LinkedIn. You can also check out Gus Penaranda on his own Instagram and Facebook, as well as the LinkedIn page. Folks, get involved with the New Jersey Pride Chamber of Commerce. And, of course, their executive director joins me live here tonight. Gus, God bless you, bro. I'll catch up with you shortly. We'll keep in touch. And I appreciate being a fan of Real Talk and Jersey First TV. Thank you, bro.
Thank you, Fernando.
Have a good one.
You too.
Folks, good stuff there with Gus Penaranda, again, the executive director of the New Jersey Pride Chamber of Commerce. Again, check out njpridechamber.org for more information. Again, if you're looking to get involved, if you are a business owner, regardless, again, you don't have to be LGBTQ, but if you're a business owner looking to network with other businesses, again, that's one of the great things about, right, the Statewide Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the Latino Chamber of Commerce, all the different chambers, right, ethnically throughout the state of New Jersey. Again, they're business owners. And despite the fact it's tough to live in New Jersey, folks, right, with the highest property tax in the country, maybe not the best business climate right now. It sort of fluctuates, to Gus's point about, sort of like waves. That's right. It is a fluctuation. But certainly it is not deterring business owners from setting up shop here in New Jersey. I mean, obviously not talking about the big corporations, certainly, but we're talking about like sort of the small to mid-sized businesses, because at the end of the day, they help the economy thrive here in the Garden State. So once again, a big thank you to Gus Penaranda, our guest tonight here on Real Talk with Fernando Uribe, of course. And folks, again, I can't say enough. Make sure you do always check out the archives. Great guest tonight, obviously, with Gus Penaranda, the executive director. And again, folks, if you're looking to get involved, great things to do, not just with their chamber, but other chambers as well throughout the state of New Jersey. And again, as I said before, you actually brought up a good point about this being transactional. That's what it really is, right? Whether you're going to get your car serviced, whether you're going to get brand new sunglasses, right, at LensCrafter, whether you're going to Dollar Tree, whether you're going to, I don't know, local food store, not, Walmart or Target or Whole Foods or Trader Joe's. Let's just say you're going to a local bodega. It's transactional, right? Well, that's what it is. Again, listen, and there's no doubt, we're living in this sort of tribalism, right, of politics in our daily life. It almost seems like we can't go anywhere without something being political, right? But one of the things about the business climate is indeed, it is transactional. It allows us to go get our goods and services without, let's be honest, without being subjected to unnecessary political discussions. Because God knows, folks, again, as a conservative in New Jersey, it's not easy being a conservative. The vitriol that I face, whether it's by fellow members of the media here in New Jersey, academia, education, you name it, community, there's no shortage of vitriol against Fernando Uribe, and that's okay. Some people might say, oh, Fernando brings it on himself. I really don't. But the truth is that, yes, we're living in a time of tribalism, almost on steroids. And there's a toxicity to it, right? But Gus raises a good point about, at the end of the day, we do have to live with each other. So regardless of, whether you are red or identify as blue or identify maybe as green, Green Party or something, right? Or libertarian, which I think is like the yellow color. I think that's like their logo, right? So if you identify that way, okay, or you identify with a party, or you identify with a philosophy, whether you're a classical conservative like myself, constitutional conservative, or you are, center right, progressive, leftist, socialist, liberal, populist, whatever the case may be. Again, at the end of the day, we have to live with each other. It's not always easy, right? Again, especially in an election year where things are changing almost weekly. Again, it shouldn't affect the way we do business per se. And again, Gus Penaranda raises a great point there that when it is transactional, that's where we want to keep it. Keep it transactional. It can be transactional without being political. The two things can exist independent of each other and can actually coexist as well without it being sort of like ultimately toxic. So great conversation tonight. Once again, folks, there with the executive director of the New Jersey Pride Chamber of Commerce, Gus Penaranda, here tonight on Real Talk. Folks, you don't want to go anywhere because you know what time it is. It's time, obviously, as you all know, right? It's that time of the show for final thoughts. And folks, I think we all know what the big event was over the weekend. Obviously, last week, great RNC in the city of Milwaukee. As a pro wrestling fan, seeing the Hulkster, Hulk Hogan there, giving a great speech on Thursday night. Obviously, all the great speeches throughout the week at the Republican National Convention, which obviously came to its conclusion on Thursday night with the acceptance of the nomination by the 45th president, soon to be the 47th president, let's be honest. I'm not going by polling. I'm going by just reading the temperature. But folks, what we saw over the weekend, obviously, is also now the departure of the 46th president from seeking re-election, subsequently endorsing his vice president, Kamala Harris, for the presidency to attempt to win the nomination of the Democrat Party when their convention convenes in Chicago in just a little over 3 weeks. And folks, the memes have been glorious, right? We've seen it, right? The humor online, Twitter, Instagram, folks, you name it. And I asked a question at the start of the program, and I have to ask it again. Do you really want 4 years of this?
He knows how to sell right there. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So,
She's still got a sense of humor. Right?
All right, enough. I can't take this. My God, my ears hurt. Folks, I'm sure your ears hurt too. All right. I could play 4 minutes of that. That's how much footage I have. Right? But folks, let's get serious for a minute here. Let's get serious about what I talk about religiously on this show. And that is the ongoing disservice, okay, by the establishment media here in New Jersey. And during this election cycle, it's no exception. Yesterday afternoon, the 46th president of the United States, Joe Biden, announced via his home in Delaware, as he's recovering from COVID, that he would not seek the Democrat Party's nomination for re-election this year. Right? Which is kind of interesting because if you're telling us that you're not seeking re-election, right, to be not just the nominee of your party, but to seek re-election to continue to be president, if you don't feel you have what it takes to be president in running for re-election, and how do you still have it in you to be president? Like, can someone explain this to me? It's okay to step down from the campaign because you don't feel fit to run for re-election, but somehow you're fit to run the country. Can someone again explain this to me? But I'll tell you right now, I'll tell you who won't be able to explain it to you, and that's the traditional Lollipop Guild of New Jersey media. Yes, folks, the traditional Mickey Mouse media in New Jersey, who, let's be honest, for years has been lying to us. Okay? They've been complicit, folks, in lying to you for years about the cognitive state of Joe Biden. Right? Because, again, the level of Trump derangement syndrome that permeates not just nationally, right, with national Democrats, right? Former Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, right? Other prominent Democrats in Washington. But now, folks, it's trickled down into New Jersey. Never mind at the state level, but even at the local level. Folks, we have, and again, it pains me to say this because I used to have a high opinion of her, but clowns like Tiffany Fisher, councilwoman in Hoboken, who seriously has Trump derangement syndrome. Sweetheart, please, okay? Worry about pulling the trigger finally to run for mayor and stop fixating about Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Okay? No one's going to hire you in the White House in a Democratic administration. So can we stop, Tiffany? Okay? Worry about whether or not you're going to run for mayor in Hoboken in 2025. And if you finally pull the trigger. The spoiler, she won't. Okay? She's about as indecisive as most of my exes. But that's another topic for another day. But folks, the idea that whether it's local council people, whether it's state officials in New Jersey or at the national level, the level of Trump derangement syndrome is pretty scary. And again, the establishment media in New Jersey for years now has been blatantly lying to you. They've been blatantly dishonest with you. So much so that, folks, it got to a point where they just couldn't hide it anymore, or at some point it was going to rear its ugly head. And we saw that 3 weeks ago when the 46th president couldn't even finish a sentence during a debate. And the 45th president outclassed him. There came a point where, after years of trying to prop up Joe Biden as this cognitively astute public official and then subsequently becoming president, eventually the rats jumped off the ship. Eventually, the dishonest media in New Jersey couldn't really disguise it anymore. And when we talk about dishonest media in New Jersey, let's start with Tom Moran. And a shout out to my good friend, David Wildstein. Oh, David, I love you. Folks, again, if you don't check out New Jersey Globe, the best news site in New Jersey, folks, again, check it out at njglobe.com. Right. And when you read the New Jersey Globe, but here's the interesting here. David Wildstein, a great article published last week here. And obviously, as you can see, Tom Moran is probably one of the least photogenic people you'll ever see in your adult life. So a great picture by David Wildstein to pick on Tom Moran. Okay. Goes on to say, in their defense, the state election laws is incredibly confusing. The Star Ledger editorial board doesn't fully understand New Jersey election law. Well, disclaimer, the Star Ledger editorial board, led by Tommy Boy, doesn't understand a lot of things, much less election law. Right? Well, in an editorial telling Governor Phil Murphy to appoint Andy Kim, the Democrat incumbent representative out of the 3rd Congressional District down in Morristown, to the U.S. Senate to replace Bob Menendez, the Star Ledger offers its own plan to fill the vacant seat in New Jersey's 3rd District. Quote, the smart thing will be for the governor to appoint Kim to the Senate and schedule a special election as required in the Constitution for Kim's House seat in September, the Star Ledger wrote recently. Herb Conaway, the Democrat nominee for Kim's seat, would likely win, which would allow him to get seniority over other freshmen who arrive in January. It's a no-brainer. But it's not a no-brainer because the Star Ledger is wrong on the facts. You're kidding. You mean Tom Moran is wrong on the facts? Ave Maria, hombre. No, you're kidding. Spoiler alert. This clown is always wrong on his facts. It's not a surprise. And I want to pick on Tom. I get it. It's 7:37 on Eastern time. And I get it that, Tom Moran at the tender age of 87 years old is probably sleeping. So he's not watching the show. He's watching the replay. Trust me, he watches the replay. Okay. So as Tom Moran is sleeping right now, obviously, can't object to what I'm saying on the show. But folks, again, David Wildstein, once again, as always, is right on the facts. That the Star Ledger and Tom Moran are never right with theirs. Right? Which I thought was really, really funny. But folks, again, this is, and you want to talk about another disservice, obviously, not just David Wildstein exposing Tom Moran, but Tom Moran over the weekend, again, can't help himself, and decides to write another half-ass column for the Star Ledger talking about Biden gets it half right. I'm not going to read you this entire thing. I mean, it's a really boring column. So if you need a cure for your insomnia, just go on Tom Moran's Twitter and look at his columns. I mean, you'll fall asleep right away. I know I do. Now, Tom Moran, in his infinite wisdom, or lack thereof, says, there will be time to argue about Kamala Harris, an average politician at best. Tom, again, you can't help yourself but be intellectually dishonest every minute of the day. She's not an average politician. She's a below average politician. And I'm being kind. I could say worse, but, I might get thrown off the air. A woman who Americans know well. Oh, they know her well, all right. I mean, I think we know her well from, the days of having, at the age of 29, an affair with a married 60-year-old Willie Brown, the mayor of San Francisco, who helped subsequently catapult her political career. And don't much like. Really, Tom? That's breathtaking analysis. Giving her a 39% approval rating on average, the same as President Biden's. Democrats have stronger candidates. Nah, actually they don't. Governor Newsom in California is a disaster. Right? The power grid is going to go, down the toilet in California any minute now. Governor Gretchen Whitmer in Michigan virtue signals every minute of the day. Okay? Who else are we talking about here? What, Hillary Clinton? Really? You want to, run Hillary again, Tom, in 2024? Listen, you can't spell Hillary without two L's. That's pretty much what we're seeing in the future for Hillary Clinton if she tries to run again. Okay? So Tommy Boy goes, with Biden's endorsement, Harris has a lock on the nomination, barring some shock. Biden delegates can reject his advice, so a fair fight remains a technical possibility. But party rules say delegates should reflect the views of their candidates in, quote, in all good conscience. These are folks who loved Biden in the first place and ran in his name. Even if 45% of them were to defect, which would be a miracle, Harris would still have a majority on the first ballot. Okay? Now I'm going to just read you some other talking. I'm going to read you the whole nonsense here. Let's face it, the sclerotic party establishment led by Biden is trying to rig this game, just as New Jersey's party bosses tried to rig this year's Senate primary in favor of First Lady Tammy Murphy. Granted, Harris is a credible candidate. No, she's not, Tom. What is she going to run on? And again, I blame Tommy and the rest of the establishment media in New Jersey, okay, who continue to do us a disservice because they're not being honest with us. Okay? How is she credible, Tom? What is she going to run on? She is the sitting vice president, secondary to the president of the United States, that has given us record inflation, that continues to suffocate us with fuel prices, the cost of food at the supermarkets, funneling money to ongoing wars like in Ukraine, right? A Justice Department being weaponized against Joe Biden's political opponents. Folks, this is stuff that happens in Cuba and Venezuela and Russia and North Korea and China, where the government uses the courts against their political enemies. That's not supposed to happen here. And for all the nonsense that Tom Moran and other clowns, which I'll mention in a minute, want to talk about, a second Trump presidency would be the end of democracy. No, well, first of all, I know Tom is 87 years old, but Tom, when you took high school civics or civics back when, 70-something years ago, we're a constitutional republic. We're not a democracy. So again, Professor Uribe is going to have to feel like he's teaching class here. Because there are a lot of people out there with law degrees, right, or clowns in law school that somehow what you're telling me is it's a very easy question. Did you sleep through constitutional law? Don't answer it. It's a rhetorical question. I already know the answer. Okay? But these are the people opining constantly on social media and in national media and the state media. Okay? We're a constitutional republic. Right? Don't we say that in the Pledge of Allegiance and to the republic for which it stands? But again, Tom Moran and the rest of the Mickey Mouse journalists in New Jersey, somehow I guess they forgot civics when they took it. Okay? What is Kamala Harris going to run on? What is she going to run on? Are we playing the same identity politics from 2016? Oh, you better vote for a woman or you're a misogynist. He's going to be the new one. Oh, you better vote for a woman of color or you're a racist. Is that what we have to hear for the next 4 months? Right? Kamala Harris made history being the first Indian American to be elected to the United States Senate. But mysteriously, in 8 years, now she's black. Can someone explain this to me? Folks, you can Google it. The headlines are there. Kamala Harris got elected to the United States Senate and was the first Indian American to be elected to the Senate. Now she's the first black vice president. Did something happen in 8 years? Right? How did she become black? Can someone explain this to me? It's weird, right? It's weird. What's credible about her, Tom? Didn't Joe Biden put her in charge of the border? Oh, that's right. The border where over 11 million people have been coming across illegally? Where the migrant crisis is suffocating our cities and resources? Is that the credible candidate we're talking about? Okay. All right. But the effort on both levels is fueled by conceit of party elites who feel that they have the right to steer the ship. Primary voters chose Biden for president, not Harris. So the Democratic National Committee seems determined to avoid an open contest at the convention as if they're still traumatized by the chaos at the 1968 convention in Chicago. Maybe, I'm sure Tom remembers it well, right? Weren't you 50-something during the convention in 1968, right, Tom? You were 51, 52 years old, right? Right, I think, right? Now, the DNC is trying to anoint a candidate before the 19th of August convention begins with a virtual vote that can come as early as August 1st. With Biden's endorsement, Harris is sure to win that kind of vote. Folks, what Kamala Harris is someone that has been complicit in hiding the cognitive decline of Joe Biden. Folks, this is Kamala Harris shortly after the debate in late June and the disaster that Joe Biden had against Donald Trump on that debate stage in Atlanta on CNN. Let's go to clip 2 here. Yeah, clip 2. This was Kamala Harris immediately after the debate giving a comment to MSNBC and other news outlets about Joe Biden's performance. Let's go to that.
And, you know, to get more directly to your question, Lindsay, I'm vice president 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I spent a lot of that time with Joe Biden, whether it is in the Oval Office where he negotiates bipartisan deals in a way that nobody can in this era. I spend time with him in the Situation Room where he is bringing together leaders from our military and intelligence community to ensure America is safe, where he is when he is on the national stage convening leaders around the world who I have witnessed go up to Joe Biden asking for his counsel and advice. That's the Joe Biden I see every day.
Folks, if that's the Joe Biden you see every day, then why the need to remove him from the platform? Folks, I'll tell you why. Because what's happened after that disastrous performance in the debate, after gaffe after gaffe after gaffe in interviews since then with George Stephanopoulos, right, the guy from ABC. You saw the disaster with Lester Holt at NBC News. See, there he's showing cognitive decline. No, folks, what happened was the DNC, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris saw the polling and saw the inevitable that's coming. And folks, you know, it's interesting about people like Tom Moran, Alan Steinberg, Max Bazzar, and all the rest of the Mickey Mouse journalists. I'll get to them in a minute, who say a second Trump presidency is a threat to democracy. Hey, F-boys, Donald Trump took a bullet for democracy in that field in Pennsylvania just a couple Saturdays ago. Okay? Some of you can't even order takeout. Okay? Here's Donald Trump taking a bullet for democracy. And people want to talk about Joe Biden putting country before him. Folks, Donald Trump took a bullet for this country, for you and me. Okay? They're not the same candidates. But Tom Moran will want you to believe so. And again, folks, it's why we can't take the establishment media seriously. What's happening here is very simple. Joe Biden saw the polling. COVID's just an excuse, let's be honest. He was in his home over the weekend in Delaware. Saw what his polling is in Michigan, in Wisconsin, in Pennsylvania, in North Carolina, even here in New Jersey, folks, where the 14 electoral votes in New Jersey have not gone to a Republican nominee for president since 1988, when George H.W. Bush won the state. Okay? And Tom Moran should remember that election. I think he was in his 60s, I think, in 1988. Okay? The DNC, prominent Democrats at the national level, sat him down and said, Joe, you're not going to win. And with over $100 million raised for the Biden-Harris campaign, the only thing you can do with 3 weeks out of the convention is to take that money and apply it to the Harris for president campaign. And, of course, help Senate and House candidates accordingly down the ballot. Folks, Kamala Harris is taking an L on November 5th. Donald Trump's winning this election, folks. He won it the night of the debate. And if you needed even more reinforcement, folks, he won it on that field in Pennsylvania. Okay? And for the same people that want to talk gibberish online about, oh, he's exaggerating wearing that bandage at the Republican convention. Folks, the same people that say that online are the same clowns that kept telling you to wear a mask for 2.5 years. Please stop. Okay? No prominent Democrat wants to run this cycle, folks. They'll let Kamala take the L. Very happy. Again, you can't spell Kamala without an L. And they'll try again in 2028. Okay? It's as simple as that. That's what's going to happen. In 105 days. Brace yourself. Stock up the liquor cabinet. Whatever it is you need to do, folks, come to grips with what's happening on November 5th. Okay? Because what is Kamala Harris going to run on? Oh, the economy? She's part of a dreadful economy. She was part of a disastrous border policy, right? Didn't Joe Biden send her to the border to be the border czar? Whatever happened to that? Right? Oh, okay. Whatever happened? Oh. Or other momentous occasions during these last 4 years of the Kamala Harris vice presidency. Don't believe me? You know what? Clip 3, go.
Be unburdened by what has been. Who we can be, unburdened by who we have been. What can be, unburdened by what has been.
Where we can be, unburdened by where we have been, and unburdened by where we are right now.
What can be, unburdened by what has been.
What can be, unburdened by what has been. What can be, unburdened by what has been. What could be, unburdened by what had been. What can be, unburdened by what has been. What can be, unburdened by what has been.
Credible candidate, Tommy? Really? You may want to sit this one out, Tommy. But speaking about needing to sit one out, of course, folks, when we talk about clowns like Tom Moran and, obviously those with severe symptoms of Trump derangement syndrome in New Jersey, of course, folks, you have to mention Sleepy Al, Alan Steinberg, part of the clown brigade over at Insider NJ. See, at least Alan leaves his house. Maybe not to do work. He'll go watch his pathetic New York Mets, his pathetic Brooklyn Nets, his pathetic New York Jets, or he'll check out an opera in New York City. At least he leaves the house. There's more I can say for other people that work at, or I don't know, try to pass off as working at Insider NJ. But over the weekend, Sleepy Al, again, it's 7:50. Yeah, he's sleeping. Alan's like, I think 92 years old, 93, 4, give or take, whatever. He's sleeping. He'll watch the replay tomorrow. He can't help himself. He'll sort of mention me in a passive-aggressive nature in his comments. He can't help himself. Right? So he decides to write, obviously yours truly will continue to call Trump a fascist to democracy because he is. Again, folks, what's interesting about Alan Steinberg, you went to law school, right, Al? Like 80 years ago, right? Or something like that, right? Whatever, right? Okay. Did you also sleep through constitutional law? Again, don't answer the question. It's rhetorical. I know the answer. Again, we're a constitutional republic. Once again, folks, the Pledge of Allegiance and to the republic for which it stands. Again, what is so difficult for Mickey Mouse journalists like Alan Steinberg, Tom Moran, Terrence McDonald, David Cruz, Max Pizarro, Jay Lasseter, Bob Hennelly, Charles Stile, Chucky, Matt Friedman? Whether it's smoking too much weed or not remembering when you took constitutional law, like what is the problem with the Lollipop Guild in New Jersey? For God's sakes, you can read it online. You don't have to pick up a book. Not that any of you ever picked up a book lately, but that's another conversation. But here's Alan Steinberg, another one of his columns here. Sleepy Al writes, this past week I watched the American Gaslighting Festival. No, that's going to be the DNC in a few weeks. Alan, again, cognitively, Alan's not there. Known as the Republican National Convention, was despicable, yet perhaps successful effort to transform Donald Trump, a physical and moral coward, an anti-intellectual incompetent who spoke favorably of injecting bleach to cure COVID, which was a joke, obviously. And it's weird that how Alan doesn't understand humor when all of his teams are a joke that he follows. Weird. A misogynist and a virulent racist into a Greek god-like mythical figure. Where's the little interesting here? Here, let's write here. Look at my notes here. Here we go. Alan loves to play the victim, right? As for me personally, I was affected in a different way, making reference to former President Trump's near fatal rally in Pennsylvania. I was affected in a different way. Since the assassination attempt, efforts have been made by the members of the MAGA thugocracy to intimidate me, claiming that because of my emphatic criticism of Trump over the past decade, I have blood on my hands. Yeah, Al, you do. I said that on the air. Again, folks, this is what's funny about Alan Steinberg. Alan Steinberg is like that passive-aggressive ex-girlfriend that will gaslight you to death. She wants you to know she's upset, but she won't tell you why she's upset. That's Alan Steinberg. Right? Because you do have blood on your hands, Alan. Because you, Max Pizarro, Tom Moran and the rest of the Lollipop Guild in New Jersey media have spent year after year after year espousing these ridiculous theories, because at no point during the presidency of Donald Trump from 2017 to 2021 was there ever any fascism in the United States. He never weaponized the Department of Justice against his political enemies, which he could have. He could have sent Bill and Hillary Clinton to jail. He could have sent Hunter Biden to prison, which they all deserve, but he chose not to do that. Because you know what he did instead? He chose to govern and give us a great economy and not get us involved in wars and make us energy independent. Okay? But you know who did weaponize the Justice Department against its enemies? Joe Biden, the guy whose rectum you kiss on an hourly basis. Okay? So when you continue calling someone a fascist and the potential next Hitler and all the other nonsense you espouse, sooner or later, someone's going to get the idea, unfortunately, to try to attempt an assassination. And that's what happened. And by the grace of God, it wasn't Donald Trump's time yet, thankfully. He's still here, thankfully. And he's here to fix our country, thankfully. So when I say you have blood on your hands, do me a favor, Al. I know it's hard at 92, 93 years old to kind of find where your testes are. I know it's kind of hard to find them, but have some. Or regrow the pair. Because I at least can call you out by name on this program. And again, you're more than welcome to come on this show anytime you want. But again, folks, spoiler alert, Alan Steinberg doesn't have the male reproductive organs to come on this show because I'll cook them. Al, you got my number. You got my email. Anytime you come on this show, more than welcome. I'll give you an hour commercial free, and I will cook you like a Thanksgiving turkey. I'll put you on the rotisserie and look at you, and I will cook you like a pernil. Well, welcome, dude. I always want the smoke. You can come on the show whenever you want. But you do have blood in your hands because of reckless rhetoric and language. Now, if you don't want to take responsibility, that's on you. But that's who you are as a person. Because guess what? Just like you never, ever like to call out your former boss, George W. Bush and Dick Cheney, your former bosses, right, who lied us into war, who contributed to the death of tens of thousands of American servicemen and women, contributed to the disability of hundreds of thousands of men and women in our armed forces, for lying us into a war. Oh, but Donald Trump's the fascist. Donald Trump is the threat to democracy. And yet you have the audacity to sit there and brag about a picture with Liz Cheney. How about calling your former bosses out for their reckless behavior? Oh, that's right. Because that would require Sleepy Al to have, wait for it, better, integrity. We all know Sleepy Al, he doesn't have any. If you did, Al, come on this show and I'll cook you. But you won't. You'll continue writing these garbage columns for a garbage news site like Insider NJ. And of course, when I think of Insider NJ, folks, let's be honest. Okay? Let's be very honest about what they are. Okay? This is Insider NJ. Yes, folks, that is what Insider NJ has become. And when I think of the Three Stooges, I don't think about Mo, Larry, and Curly. I think about Max Pizarro, who never leaves his house to do work. Or Pete O'Nelia, who's too busy, I don't know, begging for every advertising dollar for anybody he can possibly can from Insider NJ. Okay. I mean, when you sit at home all day and play with your dog or play with yourself, Pete, in whatever order, I mean, there's not much work to do. So you'll pretty much let anybody write a column and pass that off for news. Folks, that's the Lollipop Guild in New Jersey media. Whether it's Tom Moran, Alan Steinberg, Charles Stein, again, all the typical sycophants with Trump derangement syndrome. or the rest of the Mickey Mouse Club in New Jersey media. Yeah, folks, that's right. That's what they are. They'll keep lying to you, especially during this election season. Get ready, folks, for the next 4 months. It's going to be insufferable with them lying to you every single day. Folks, I'll tell you. The idea that people think that they're actually doing you a service couldn't be any farther than the truth here in the state of New Jersey. And those are my final thoughts. Folks, once again, a special thank you to Gus Penaranda, the executive director of the New Jersey Pride Chamber of Commerce. I want to thank them, of course, for all the good work that they do. Check them out at njpridechamber.org. Of course, make sure you like them on Facebook. Of course, follow them on Instagram and Twitter. Folks, I can't say enough. Thank you always for checking us out on our social media pages. Make sure you like Real Talk with Fernando Uribe and Jersey First on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And of course, you watch us on YouTube. Subscribe to us whenever you can. And check out all the great programming brought to you by Jersey First TV. And of course, whether you get your podcast on Spotify or SoundCloud, download it. Take Jersey First TV with you throughout the summer months. And folks, I cannot say enough how proud I am to be on the dream team of Garden State Media. That's right, folks. It is Jersey First TV. Brand new episodes of The Nader Narrative premiere every Thursday, hosted by the incredible Elizabeth Nader. And brand new episodes of Bridging the Gap, hosted by AJ Melillo and Stephen Rambolo, premiere every Thursday as well. Check them out there. Obviously, at going to jerseyfirst.org/TV. And of course, brand new episodes of Real Talk with Fernando Uribe premiere every Monday night live. Check the local listings for start times. Folks, again, without all of you, the great traffic that we produce would not be possible. Again, folks, here on this show, it's real traffic. Not like the Mickey Mouse traffic I mentioned with the Mickey Mouse journalists in New Jersey. No. The only traffic they know is what they see on Kennedy Boulevard or Communipaw Avenue or Route 440 or Route 3 or the Parkway and the Turnpike, respectively. Here on this show, folks, it's real traffic. It's always real talk. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, if it's unbiased, unfiltered, and unafraid, it's always real talk right here with Jersey First TV. I am New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist, top Latino, as voted on by the Latino Spirit Online magazine and the United States Latino Affairs Initiative. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, I'll continue to be the weapon of mass disruption in Garden State Media, because my level of honesty, now more than ever, is truly necessary in this era of journalistic deception. That's right, folks. It's me, Fernando Uribe, the most handsome face that runs the place. That's right, folks. Again, please party responsibly. Enjoy the rest of your week here, obviously, as we continue throughout the month of July. Folks, we'll be wrapping up shortly here, and obviously, brand new episodes will resume in early August. You want to check out for that, folks. Again, always check out jerseyfirst.org/TV for the best programming. Again, for this analysis and commentary about everything going on in New Jersey politics, folks, you can always trust Jersey First TV. Once again, folks, I'm Fernando Uribe. Please party responsibly. You can't be good, be bad, baby. Thanks so much for stopping by. And always remember, stay classy, everyone.